with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
It seems like everyone is chiming in on this issue at this point.
Has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a...
For a moment, let's be honest. Cheryl Swoops has been pursuing Caitlin Clark with some of the most bizarre and baseless charges imaginable for the past year. We're talking about strange accusations that she is a 25-year-old playing against teenagers, that her record-breaking rookie season wasn't really that terrific, and even that no one in the league wants to play with her. It was simply this unrelenting assault of negativity that, to be honest, seemed to last forever.
Your peers, they will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Right.
How can you separate the two? It's kind of
hard,
right?
And I used, and Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummy.
Then, just when it appeared that the Sound would never give up a real basketball grade and one of Clark's former coaches, Cheryl Miller, entered the ring. She appeared on the podcast All the Smoke and produced what can only be considered as a final blow to the detractors, referring to Swoops as a complete moron and methodically dismantling all the false myths. Fans are ecstatic, eagerly observing Miller put Swoops in her proper position at last. However, her fervent support for Caitlin Clark as well implies something wholly surprising regarding the future of the Indiana Fever. Are you ready for this? Come on.
Time Player of the Year, two-time national championship, two-time tournament MVP, first woman to dunk in an organized game, gold medalist. Thank you for making time. Welcome to the show, Cheryl Miller.
But let's just stand back for a while before we analyze every potent statement Miller made. Have you ever truly paused to consider why one of basketball's greatest icons appears to be so devoted to eliminating the WNBA's most promising young star? It's a worthwhile inquiry.
Let's also talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
It all started when Swoops made these incredibly untrue statements regarding Clark's illustrious collegiate record. Swoops asserted that Clark was a 25-year-old competing against 20-year-olds while attending Iowa, which may have been her most absurd claim to date. Let's now be really clear about the situation's reality. Like many other college seniors, Clark was just 22 years old and in her fourth year of competition. Swoops attempted to backtrack when questioned about this flagrant lie, saying that it was all exaggeration pertaining to CO qualifying regulations. A really flimsy defense that completely failed to withstand any examination.
Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team,
she most likely won't receive 40 shots every day. But trust me when I say that Swoops was just getting started. In an attempt to portray Clark as a conceited ball-hogging volume shooter, she continued by asserting that she took 40 shots per game. In actuality, Clark averaged a far more sensible 22.7 shots per game, according to the data. The fact that Swoops herself averaged 19.2 shots per game during her own senior year, just 3 fewer than Clark, makes this assertion particularly absurd. Imagine hurling stones from a glass home. Swoops shifted strategies when that story failed, particularly when Clark was on the verge of breaking NCAA scoring record, suggesting that Clark would require a 5th year to surpass it.
Back, Caitlin, if you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Naturally, this was fully and entirely false. Then, as Clark came into the Swoops boldly predicted in the WNBA that she wouldn't be able to rule the league. However, as soon as Clark began shattering records for rookie assists and established oneself as one of the Swoops, the best playmakers in the league, conveniently merely ignored the fact that the rule of co-eligibility would have permitted Clark to attend college for a fifth year. Ball, but she deliberately decided not to make use of it. Ultimately, the numbers speak for themselves. Clark completed her amazing freshman season, averaging 19.2 points and a league-high 8.4 assists per game, totally shutting down the skeptics and justly triumphing Rookie of the Year.
I didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Respectfully, there is absolutely no way, even when we're trying to sit here and play semantics about dominating, there's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate that.
Swoop's appearance on Angel Reese's podcast, when she continued to denigrate Clark while simultaneously asserting that she doesn't hate her, was possibly the most telling of all. It was really a typical textbook illustration of someone claiming one thing but doing very else, exposing the hypocrisy to the public.
Cheryl, since she was in college, I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Cheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that, there was this quote by Cheryl that
the ongoing criticism became unavoidable once the entire basketball community began to see this troubling pattern. In the end, it had actual repercussions. Another legend, Nancy Lieberman, took Swoop's spot in the booth after she was prohibited from covering an Indiana Fever game. Unlike Swoops, Lieberman wasn't scared to confront the misinformation being spread about the league's. Only found someone with unquestionable legitimacy to join the Caitlin Clark conversation when Cheryl Miller entered the All the Smoke podcast studio and utterly lit up the naysayers. This is when the tale really takes a turn. What happens, then, when a real basketball legend, someone who has actually coached Clark, decides she's had enough of this crap? You get one of the strongest and most authentic defenses in women's basketball history.
No, Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes.
Yeah.
But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time.
Miller thought about how much strain Clark was under. She pointed out that receiving criticism all the time can make you feel as though you must constantly prove yourself. Perhaps more than you were correct at times.
I can't fault her for what she was given.
Here is the unpleasant reality of the entire circumstance. The unquestionable reality that Clark's presence has enhanced the league overall is something that Clark's critics simply refuse to admit. We are discussing a huge increase in media attention, ticket sales, and viewership, all of which immediately benefit everyone, including their own salary.
Look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
So, with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
You see, Miller had a front row seat to evaluate Clark's performance beyond all the highlight clips and media spin after having the opportunity to coach him firsthand at the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game. Even she was astonished to see Clark up close. Miller's defense is so powerful and hard to ignore because of this own personal experience.
He recently coached the WNBA All-Star Game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job
Best
ever.
coaching job ever.
Being around Caitlin Clark, how was the experience for her? She's such a big star. The sky's the limit for her. To be around her, just talk about the type of person she is and how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my...
I was pleased to discover that the story wasn't true, as Miller herself expressed it. She deftly dismantled months' worth of unfavorable media narratives with that one potent comment. However, she didn't end there. Miller went even farther, offering genuinely original insight into what makes Clark such a remarkable talent. By doing this, She was able to cut through all the clutter and arrive at the reality.
I can't imagine this young lady, not, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, and look, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the.
Even though Miller's technical study of Clark's court skills is quite accurate, it actually hides something far more significant, a genuine emotional bond that formed during Clark's most difficult moments. When the Fever eventually achieved their first win of the 2025 campaign, this became abundantly evident. Miller did more than just offer Clark his congratulations at that precise moment. When the rookie needed it most, she offered her sincere, unwavering support.
Watching her pass, and I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version. Thinker. Defensively, a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be themselves.
Miller and Clark gave each other an embrace after Indiana's first triumph, which was much more than just a playful moment between two basketball players. It was a pivotal, impactful moment that illustrated how isolated Clark had felt throughout the early onslaught of criticism surrounding her league debut. When she noticed me, I gave her the greatest hug I could manage, and she exclaimed, "Oh man, finally someone who's on my side," Miller said, recalling the overwhelming intensity of that moment. Miller continued, "She was being struck with everything from left to right."
Was getting hit with everything left and right, and I just said, I hugged her. I said, "I'm so proud of you." I go, savor this, use this as a formula. I said, but keep being you. I said, no matter what, keep being you.
Miller didn't just offer some useless platitudes during that really dangerous moment. Instead, he offered the kind of guidance that only someone who has been a similar difficult path can offer. These weren't just words of comfort. For a rookie who was drowning in a sea of expectations and intense scrutiny, they were a lifeline. "I'm very proud of you," Miller said to her. Use this as a formula, but keep being you no matter what," she went on.
That is a crown that she's wearing right now.
Right.
And it wasn't something that she anointed herself. It's something that's been placed on her head, and I hope people understand that. But it's everything that she's dealing with.
When Cheryl Miller talks, the basketball community listens, and for good reason. 3 Nosmouth Player of the Year honors, 2 national titles, an Olympic gold medal, and, of course, a place in the Basketball Hall of Fame are just a few examples of the remarkable legacy that her voice carries. But Miller's assistance goes well beyond simply appreciating Clark's outstanding CV. She perceives something in Clark that many critics don't seem to notice. She is far more than just a scorer because of her exceptional court vision. We must therefore ask, what are your thoughts on all of this? Let us know in the comments how happy you are to see a legend such as Miller taking the lead. Subscribe and turn on all notifications to make sure you never miss anything. We'll see you in the following after you click the video on the screen.